Oh, weather outside is frightful. Fake frozen. We are fake frozen here in Los Angeles, California. How the heck is everyone? Welcome to Meals for the Stomach Cancer Patient. My name is Nathan Lyon. I am from Arlington, Virginia. I went to James Madison University where I earned a health sciences degree with a public health minor. Moved here to Los Angeles where I completed a course to become a medical technician. Then I thought, nope. So I went to Le Cordon Bleu, North America, and I've worked with farmers for 27 years. I've been cooking on television for 20 years. And I have a seasonal cookbook, and I'm a Pisces, youngest of three boys. I am not alone here. In here I am, but out there I'm not. There is a giggle happening over here, and this name is
Sarah.
Sarah. Will enable us to communicate. Speaking of communication, the brains behind this whole thing, Mary Eve Brown, clinical oncology dietitian specialist, I think, who is at John Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center as we speak. What's going on with you, Mary Eve Brown?
Well, it's freezing here, but I have an announcement. It is our fourth anniversary, so I am anticipating flowers, fruit, an appliance. I really need a Roomba, and a
Okay.
blue topaz earrings because we have been together for 4 years.
This is so exciting, and it just so happens I got you. Of course
Love
I
it.
remember. What is that? Paper? Copper? Tin? I
No,
don't know what
it's
that is.
fruit. It's fruit,
Is it?
flowers, appliances,
Okay.
and blue topaz.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Wow. I don't know what number five is, but I look forward to five. For everyone out there, welcome.
Jen from DDF Programs is here, and it happens to be in Los Angeles right now, and says so enjoying the warm weather.
It is.
Oh, Jen.
It is unseasonably warm here. I usually have a long sleeve shirt on. I'm doing short sleeve shirt, but I do have pants on in solidarity. I'm not an animal, for God's sakes. Okay, I know what's going on. Today's a big day. There's a big dance. There's a lot of things happening here. We have a smoothie. We have a soup. We have a main. We have breakfast. There's a lot of stuff going on. So dare I say, let's jump right into it.
Why not?
Everyone's good. Mary Eve Brown, you're all clipped in,
Locked and loaded.
locked and loaded.
Give me the
Okay.
questions.
Fantastic. Here we go. So the first thing I'm going to get on is a miso soup. Okay, something really simple. It's one of the things I really enjoy when we go out to restaurants, Japanese restaurants. And I was really wowed by how simple it actually is to make a miso soup. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Behind me on my right-hand side, steaming, is a little bit of chicken stock mixed with some water. And I'm going to go ahead and bang out this butternut squash, one of your favorites, dare I say.
Yes, sorry.
Dare I say, peeled, of course.
No,
Uh,
I was just thinking about miso because miso is a fermented product, so it can help with gut health. And that's
okay.
where that's what I was thinking. That's why I was like, yep, miso.
So good question. That's actually sort of a spawn of one of my first questions for you, Mary Eve, is you have miso, which is fermented, yeah, and then you have tofu, which is made from soybean milk or soy milk. Is one better than the other? Is one slightly more easy to digest for a stomach cancer patient?
Great question. They're both very easy to digest. Um, Miso is fermented, so it helps support the microbiome. Tofu is protein, so they can both be great additions to anybody going through cancer therapy or recovering from cancer therapy or surgery. And they're different. So actually making a miso soup and dropping in some tofu in it is a great idea too.
Okay. We're going for like flavor, and we're always going for a little bit of texture as well. This is, look at that. We're already ready.
We have hello from Nancy Brown from Washington State,
Nancy Brown, West Coast.
and Michelle is in Monrovia, California.
Look at it.
West Coast representing
All right.
today.
Well, so far, Mary Eve, you are flying solo.
On East Coast, get in there.
East Coast.
Wow.
Yeah, East Coast. I mean, like I said, I'm from the East Coast. I used to deliver the Washington Post, and this is the story of my younger self. I would always look at the newspapers as I was delivering them. And this is back in the 70s and early 80s. And I remember looking at the newspaper and seeing the United States in the lower left, it was like 70 degrees. And everywhere else it was freezing. And I thought to my younger self, one day, Nathan, one day you will live somewhere where it's actually warm in the dead of winter. And here I am, 54. I finally made it, right? So this is a really good way to add a bit of nutrition, a bit of color as well. It's super easy to do. Mary Eve, you and I have had a little mental arm wrestling. We're both on the same team of wrestling. I don't know who is against us, but using things that are in season because they cost the least, they have the most nutrition. I'm always for that. When you're dicing something really small, you can have something really lovely and flavorful on your table. In this case, the miso soup with a little extra bonus of some flavor right here. Now, Mary Eve, I'm doing, usually just miso, which has sodium in it. Is there any concern about any added sodium? I'm using chicken stock here, homemade chicken stock, because right now is the season to do that sort of thing. How are we looking as far as sodium for a cancer patient?
Yeah, the only people who really need to worry about sodium are people who have hypertension, high blood pressure, and then people who have swelling. It could be called edema or ascites. Otherwise, it's not really a big risk for somebody.
Okay, here we go. Well, salt is one of these things that the body needs salt. It
Hmm.
enables your body to sort of like really taste more flavors as well.
Hmm.
But I always say let's kind of kick back on the salt until the very last second, and then we can sort of add it whenever we need it. Okay.
And there are some treatments that can waste sodium. There's some chemotherapies that can waste sodium. Also, if you have losses, um, fever, diarrhea, and actually you probably need extra sodium because you're losing it in sweat, and then if you have diarrhea. So
Okay.
normally it's not a big concern for
When you
people.
say waste sodium, you mean certain treatments you'll just excrete the sodium?
Correct. Thank you. Yeah, you'll excrete more.
Oh,
And sometimes we have to put people on salt tabs
oh, wow.
because they can't, yeah, they can't hold on to their sodium.
Okay.
And a low sodium makes you feel really punk, like you feel terrible.
Hmm. CDF programs asked, Jen asked, what stock do you recommend to make miso soup vegan?
And I guess just vegetable stock, right? We're using homemade chicken stock here. I know there are stocks out there that probably have extra protein. Mary Eve, you and I have talked about that.
Yep, bone
Briefly.
broth,
Really
bone
great to
broth.
have bone broth. I know that there's I'm not sure what kind of bones are actually in carrots or onions. If you dig deep enough, you're bound to find a bone in there somewhere. But vegetable stock, if you don't feel like making your own stock, better than bouillon is one of the stocks that we really like. It's very easeful. It comes in this little tiny container, really simple.
Did
Um,
you do mushroom stock?
you know what? Great. Sarah, yeah, landed it. Mushroom stock is a really great one to have. Dried mushrooms, you would rehydrate that and just go ahead and allow that to be part of your stock as well. And that gives it umami, like a double down on umami with the miso and also with mushrooms. And that would be a really lovely way of making a vegetarian. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Right? So we have a couple things happening here. I just diced up some silken tofu. You can do whatever tofu you want. You can do firmer, medium, soft. I happen to like sort of like the delicate nature of the silken tofu. We're going to add some herbs. Herbs, as I like to say, are the background singers of some of the best songs you've ever heard. Usually the person up in the front is very attractive, but they just don't have as much talent. These background singers, they just have more talent. They may not be as attractive, but let me say, your eyes closed, these are the ones that really make it happen, right? So I'm going for some color, some flavor. I honestly can't think of an herb that wouldn't really work pretty well in this particular dish. I have dill, I have flat leaf Italian parsley. I also have some cilantro in here. If the word cilantro kind of gives you a nervous tick, pretend I never said cilantro. Okay, a lot of people out there don't really like cilantro. Just sort of, I'm gonna go ahead and shelf this. Do you like cilantro, Mary E. Brown?
I do,
Okay.
but my husband doesn't have the gene
Mm.
to for the taste of it, and so it tastes like soap to him.
Yes. And you're
Um,
still together. God bless you.
well, he's a plain eater. He's a plain eater.
Okay.
And also think about herbs as cancer preventative, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory. So love it. And so They're weeds, people. They're super easy to grow.
Yeah.
Just need a
Yeah.
sunny spot. I do mine in pots. Right now, I'm doing microgreens in my living room under under a grow light. Um, super easy.
What microgreens are you growing?
I'm doing radish, broccoli, fenugreek, and there's one other one. It was a mix of four organic, and then I have them in a plastic tray with a grow light. They're about this big right now. I'm going to harvest them this weekend.
Wonderful.
Yeah, super easy, people.
It
Super
sounded
easy.
like sounded a little bit like romper room there for a second, Mary Eve. Well, I have Fenugreek, and I see Jennifer, and I see Sarah. I see.
I always wanted my name to be called because I have an unusual name. And then I found out later your parents had to submit your name. That's how they got those names. And I'm like, well, darn it.
That's a conversation yet to be had. That's all I'm saying. We have
Jen's asking for those watching, are you yay or nay on cilantro?
me?
No, just for people watching.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I am curious. It's just one of those things. It can be very triggering for people.
didn't
So
you say that the first people actually didn't like cilantro?
yes, actually, it's interesting is that when you go back in genetics, as far as the reading that I've done, is that pretty much everybody, I'm talking about like hundreds and thousands of years ago, everybody did not like cilantro, and then there was like sort of a sort of like a kick-off abnormality that happened genetically. And then the people that don't like the cilantro are actually the originals, the OGs. The rest of us that do, we're the freakies, right?
Are we aliens?
We, I didn't say that, but we are the freakies. I think that's more fun to say.
Jessica says, hi Jen, I'm definitely a cilantro fan. Adds
Okay.
extra delicious flavor in my opinion, and I toss it in right before I serve the soup.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we're gonna do the exact same thing, right? So we have the tofu, silken tofu that I diced it pretty small. We have the fresh herbs off to the side. We also have the miso, but with miso, to make sure we have those health benefits that Mary Eve was talking about, you don't want to boil that, okay? You want to add that in the last second, give that a stir. We're going to taste it for seasoning, and we'll serve that up, okay? So we have.
Amanda's also giving a thumbs up for cilantro.
Okay, fantastic. So we're all good. So
Yeah,
far,
for just for a second. So miso, it's a savory undertone, and you can add it to a lot of dishes. So you can add it to quick breads like zucchini bread, pumpkin bread. You can add it to other baked things. You can add it to soups. I sometimes throw it in like chili. It's a great product to add to other things, not just on its own.
Mary Eve Brown, would you believe me if I told you that one of my favorite cookies that I make has crystallized ginger and white miso?
Love it. Love it.
Well, it's a lie. I've never made a. No, I'm kidding. Of course, no. It's really lovely. Exactly. So instead of using just salt, I just try to think of different ways that you can enhance flavor with nutrition, and maybe utilize things that you were talking about in the ways that kind of spin off from the other side you're not expecting. It's a really nice way of adding flavor, adding nutrition, and adding that sodium that we do need, but in a way that might be a little unexpected. Okay.
Loretta's on Facebook saying cilantro, no. Miso soup, also no. It tastes like ocean water.
Okay. Well,
Well,
we're
can I
gonna
say something about that?
talk to me.
So the traditional way to make miso soup is using the dried seaweed.
Yes,
And
correct.
we're not using that
That
today.
is correct.
Therefore, this would be a non-oceany miso soup.
This is the miso for beginners, the miso with training wheels. Sarah's exactly right. You would use dried seaweed and kombu, and you would throw that in
Kombu.
there and cook it down for just a little bit to give it that really funky, lovely flavor. But if you're thinking it's ocean water, just go ahead and admit that. Okay.
And then Jen says, I can only tolerate cilantro in a pico de gallo and sometimes on a taco. Otherwise, I do not love it at all. We have a real divide here.
You know what? But that's okay. All are welcome. All are welcome. No one's wrong on this one. So we're just gonna go find out what's happening here. With every single bite is something on offer. And that's what's great about food. It's this big round table of things that we all love, or just leave it off, okay? So I have some sweet potatoes here. These sweet potatoes are going to be the bed for this sort of like homemade orange chicken, right? So when I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, we didn't have a whole lot of money. So when we went out, it would be essentially kind of once a year per son, per boy. I would always go to the one Chinese restaurant that was in town, and my brother would go for pizza. And orange chicken just seems, I don't know where it came from, but this is reminiscent of something that I would enjoy as a kid. I'm going to go ahead and just do a sort of a medium to small dice on these, something really fast. I do love sweet potatoes. Mary Eve, I know you're a big fan of sweet potatoes, but let's talk about the different colors of sweet potatoes. I know there are purple ones, there are white ones, there are orange ones. Is there one that might be particularly more healthful for the stomach cancer patient?
So, yeah. So each color of a vegetable gives you a different phytonutrient. And a phytonutrient is a cancer fighter, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties. So when you're, looking at your vegetables, getting a big variety of colors is going to meet more phytonutrients than if you just stick in one lane. So if you can get purple, so real sweet potatoes are white, which give alleles. The orange ones are giving carotenoids. So play with them. Get the different variety. They're all easy to digest, so they should be totally appropriate for everybody. Our special meal was going to Chinatown in DC.
Mm.
Down with that. Any particular one?
Rubies. Yeah, I don't even think it's there anymore, but
Wow.
rubies. Yeah.
Mary Eve, can you tell us what alleles are and carotenoids? What are those good for?
Those are the phytonutrients. That's the name of the class.
Mm.
And so each color gives you a different class of phytonutrients. So I was just giving you the name of what those are. And like white alliums. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Now, what we're going to do here is we're just simply making a bed for chicken that we're using today. This orange chicken. Sarah and I used this recipe. We worked on it for a while until we sort of landed the flavor. I'm a big fan of like the one pot wonders. This is going to be that, but with a 9 by 13 Pyrex. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Yeah. Let me go ahead and season this first. A little bit of salt, kosher salt. Now, when it comes to salt, we did already talk about it briefly. When you're using salt, I always recommend using kosher salt if you're following our recipes or my recipes. And the reason being, if you're using iodized salt and I'm using kosher salt, you are going to be using 2.5 times more salt than I intended for you to use. Just because when you look at each grain of salt under a microscope, iodized salt is sort of like it looks almost like a little cube and they stack really neatly together. So there's more salt per volume. But kosher salt is sort of like a funky shape to it, so you can hold on to it. You can distribute the salt a little bit more evenly. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, when you're cooking these different recipes, is really pay attention to the different types of oils you would use, the different types of salts that you would use, and even the container that they're being baked in. Because I know that, for example, if you make brownies or something like that, and you cook brownies in a Pyrex as opposed to a metal, they're usually overcooked in a Pyrex because Pyrex holds onto heat. But in this case, that's what we want because these boneless, skinless chicken thighs, they need a little extra heat, okay? So what I have here is just the sweet potatoes, the chicken just chilling out right here, and I want to make this sort of topping to pour over everything, okay? Now, Mary Eve, I'm sure you've known about this, is the reason why I'm even part of this wonderful organization is because of a really good buddy of mine, Hans Rufert. Hans doesn't have a stomach. He has like 5% of his esophagus left, but he can still really enjoy an espresso beverage. Now, I'm going to be using orange zest and orange juice in this. There's also a little bit of rice wine vinegar. Now, my question being, Hans is an anomaly. I get that. He is just a really interesting individual. But does acid play a role, either good or bad or indifferent, in the stomach cancer patient? Curious.
That's a great question. So it can go either way.
Okay.
Some people have no problems with it, and then other people are like, if I eat something that has acid in it, I'm going to pay for it the rest of the day. And so if you're in treatment, um, either radiation or chemotherapy, they might already have you on like a stomach acid reducer, no problem. Post gastrectomy, depending on how much of the stomach is removed, acid could be a problem or it might not be a problem. So what I normally say, if you're soon out of surgery, you're going to follow a gastric surgery diet. But after about 4 or 5 months, start playing. Like I think in this preparation that it's not like you're drinking orange juice, right? You're using it with other things, and it probably is fine.
Okay.
Sometimes drinking orange juice for people can give dumping, which is that awful feeling after they eat, they don't feel well. So they're not going to be drinking juice, but I think it's fine to use it in a recipe preparation. I don't think it's a problem.
Okay. And what about cooking juices? Because I know, for example, when Sarah and I will, we'll cut a lemon in half and we'll put it with some roasted root vegetables, carrots, and what have you, and we'll put it in the oven. And then I know that at least the flavor of the lemon changes. Do you know if the pH changes at all when you
I
cook them?
I didn't learn about that in chemistry, so I don't know. I find that they mellow. To me, when I roast, like I do a roasted lemon with potatoes or something, it seems like the lemon mellows a bit.
Right.
I don't know if it changes the pH or not. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Jen is asking for those watching, do acidic foods bother you? For me, I have a TG and acidic foods no longer bother me.
That's fantastic. All right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, because again, oranges are in season right now. Beautiful color, works with the butternut squash. This is really lovely to have. So what I'm doing is I'm just making this really simple sauce to add over top, pour it over top of everything. And what's going to happen is it's all going to cook down. It's going to thicken, and it's going to be a really flavorful medium from which to enjoy this sort of one pot wonder. And there's a lot left over for the next couple of days that you can enjoy smaller portions for you and your friends. What I did is already, you may have seen me sneak that in there. Mary Eve, come on. Right there.
Grr.
Right here for you. Or it's a brooch or a hairpin. Okay. Some fresh ginger. I love that. I'm adding a little bit of honey to balance that whole thing out. Talk to me about, I know that sugars are a big no-no with the stomach cancer patient, but do the different types of sugars change at all in the body? Like, is honey different than just regular granulated sugar or dark brown sugar? How does that work with the patient?
It doesn't. It's the body processes it kind of all the same.
Okay.
But again, you're using that honey in a preparation of a meal or, a recipe. So it shouldn't be a problem. It would be more like if you had tea and put a lot of honey in it, that might cause more digestive problems.
Okay.
But I use honey a lot with my people. It's 65 calories a tablespoon.
Mhm.
And so I have a lot of people add it to oatmeal or add it to hot cereal, add it to shakes because you can get, if you do 2 tablespoons, that's 120 some calories you can get without increasing the volume of how much you're doing. It's also an antioxidant. So it has health properties to it too.
Okay.
That's great.
All right.
Mary Eve, DDF programs is asking, some people with TGs may not have issues with acid, but they do with bile. What foods should you avoid for bile reflux? And what tips do you have for those who suffer from it? And also, can you tell us what a TG is?
Total gastrectomy.
Got it.
So bile is produced by the liver in response to eating fat. And it shouldn't go up. It's supposed to go down. So it's produced, the liver makes it, goes to the gallbladder, stored, and then when you eat fat, it's released into the small bowel. So sometimes if you have a total gastrectomy, sometimes you're going to have a cholecystectomy, which is your gallbladder is removed. The liver uptakes that job. It will store it until needed. If it's going up, that's a problem because you can feel terrible and miserable. Anyways, so eating really high fat meals can make that worse because the bile is being made in response to the fat that you've eaten. So it doesn't mean you don't eat fat. It just means you don't eat a really high fat meal. You kind of spread your fats through the day.
Okay.
The body's amazing. It just is.
It is amazing.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
I think this is just a benefit that I'm even here. My undergrad, I was super duper lucky, and I as I asked around, a lot of people didn't have cadavers in their undergrad. I was a young kid working with cadavers at James Madison University, and I thought this is something that I'm really very interested in. And lo and behold, here I am, just doing my thing, finding bones in vegetables. I don't know how that works, but I'm doing it.
We
Um,
had cats.
oh, did you really?
Yes, at Maryland.
Oh,
I was thinking about doing that with veterinary school. We would do fetal pigs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had, we had the people. Right here, this is the very beginning of blood oranges. Is there any benefit, like a slightly more health benefit to a blood orange as opposed to a regular orange? Because that, I guess, is anthocyanin that might be in there. I don't know.
The red. It's so funny you're doing this because you know what they've named them now? Raspberry oranges.
What?
Come on.
Because I don't think people like the word blood orange. So they
Well,
rebranded sometimes and it's a raspberry orange.
well, from a
I'm like,
chef's
what?
perspective that's worked in restaurants most of my life, I know that Valentine's is coming up. My bloody Valentine, right? So those blood oranges are absolutely fantastic.
They're lovely.
So let's go over. I didn't want to interrupt you when you were speaking, Mary.
Sorry.
No, no, this is good. I just don't want you to miss out as far as all the ingredients I have going on here. Orange zest, which is where all the flavor comes from. All the essential oils, orange juice. I added a little bit of avocado oil. Any sort of neutral oil will work with that as well. Toasted sesame oil as well. Honey, rice wine vinegar, soy sauce. So it's like sort of like a smattering of a lot of different things. You bang it out in one bowl until the honey is dissolved. And there's only one other thing that I'm missing in here, and that is cornstarch. Okay. The cornstarch I'm going to add at the last second. You do want to make sure that whenever you add cornstarch to anything as a thickener, that you're not going to add it to something that's warm. You want to add it to a liquid that's cold so it'll dissolve. And then once that liquid comes to a boil, that's when it starts to thicken. Okay. It makes a really lovely texture as far as the sauce.
The cornstarch needs the heat.
Cornstarch needs the heat. You have to have it come to a boil, or else it won't do its special talent. The one talent's been working its whole life to do. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bang this out, get all the lumps out of there, and I'm gonna pour it over top of the bed that we've already made to my left, which is the pound and a half of peeled, diced sweet potatoes, and then the boneless, skinless chicken breast that I went ahead and hit with thighs. Thank you, with chicken thighs. Then I went ahead and hit with a little bit of salt. And here we go. Now, whatever sound effect you make in your own kitchen, that's completely up to you. Mine's more of like a luge as a preteen, like a whoop
Can you use chicken breast or no?
is the thighs.
Can you use breast?
I'm not done. I'm not done with my.
Sorry. Messing with your sound effects.
Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. I was just, well, let me towel off. Woo! That was so wet. You could, but the problem with that is that we've done it with the chicken thighs, because the chicken thighs, they start to get really good texture-wise after like 175, 180, 190 is the better temperature for chicken thighs. Chicken breasts, you don't want them going that high. They're just going to be too dry. Because we're using sweet potato isn't going to be cooked through enough with a chicken breast. So the whole point of this being like a sort of a one-shot wonder, I guess if you dice them super duper small, you could use a chicken breast.
Or
But
you
these
could
are,
just pull the breasts out when they're done.
yeah, you
You
can do
have a
that.
thermometer.
You can do that as well. As long as you have a digital thermometer, then I'll give you a pass. I'll give you a day pass, Mary Eve. Uh, and you and I discuss whatever the safe, delicious versions of chicken breast temperatures are. From a chef, mine's slightly different, but of course, from a provider of cancer patient, it's a little bit different. You always want to make sure it's nice and safe. So you and I'm trying to think of what that one temperature is that we agree on. 160, carry over to 165.
165.
165. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going in the oven. The rack is middle upper. It's not middle, it's not upper, middle upper. And we're going to go ahead and bake it at 400 degrees. Okay. I'm going to let it cook for 15 minutes, and that'll simply flip the chicken thighs, and then we'll keep cooking those. All right. Here we go. They're going in. Mary Eve, they're in. Okay. They're in. Here we go. Now, if you recall, in our first exciting episode, we started with miso soup, right? With the chicken stock, water, and we banged out a little bit of butternut squash. They're kind of done already. The dice was pretty small. Cooking in water was a really good way to cook things very fast. And so let me go ahead and check and make sure that they're done as far as the butternut squash. The way to check that anything is done that's on the firmer side, like winter vegetables, really fruits, potatoes, anything you want to do, is with the tines of a fork, okay? The problem is a lot of people will use a knife and they'll check and see if it's done. The only problem with that is the tip of a knife offers very little resistance. So you want to make sure it's actually done. So go ahead and use the tines of a fork. And we're definitely done. Okay, it's not falling apart, but the tines went through it. So we're good with that. So shall we serve this up? Ready to serve it up?
Nancy asked, will the chicken thighs come out tender?
They will. You know, it's interesting. People always hear the number 165, okay? Not just when they're sleeping, they hear it when they're awake too. That's because when it comes to safety, you want to make sure that it hits at least 165 for 1 second. I'm going to sideline that whole thing. But when it comes to dark meat, the boneless, skinless chicken thighs, or just dark meat chicken thighs, the best texture, believe it or not, is between 185 and 190. So it's way higher. So if you've ever had your turkey during Thanksgiving and the dark meat's like 165 and it's just super chewy, that's because it wasn't cooked enough. It was cooked to safety, but it wasn't cooked enough to break down that connective tissue. So 185 to 190 for a dark meat. That's a great question. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, miso. We're back on the miso train. Okay. Gonna go ahead and bang this out. It's no longer boiling. Yeah, I'm gonna use the same spoon. Why not? Who likes to clean up extra stuff? Miso's going in. As long as it's not boiling, all the yummy health benefits should be just fine in there. Are you a fan of miso, Mary Eve? I mean, just
Love it.
benefits, flavor-wise,
Yeah, love
you're
it.
digging it? Okay.
Yeah, I tend to do like the light ones. I haven't done the other flavored ones yet.
Well,
Is which one do you use? Do you use the
well,
light?
we have all three, actually.
Ah, you're bougie.
We're
I knew
chefs.
you.
But I will say this, for those of you that have gone to a Japanese restaurant and ordered miso soup, that is actually the middle of the three. That is a yellow miso. There is a light or sweet miso that I think you're referring to that I will use in a cookie because I don't want it to overpower the flavor of the cookie. But what I find is that if I have the white miso, I'll use a little bit more. If I have a yellow miso, it'll be sort of like right in the spot. And if I only have dark miso, I'll use a very small amount, okay? So the miso is stirred in. We're looking pretty good.
And we actually have some chickpea miso.
We do. That's our white miso.
Yeah, so a local woman here in LA makes chickpea miso, and it's very delicious.
She does. It's really, really lovely. All right. Here we go. So I have this diced, soft tofu that I'm going to put in the bowl first. We're fancy here. We're fancy. We're putting the stuff in first, and then we're pouring the soup around it, just as if we were at a restaurant. This is our restaurant. This is our Debbie Dream restaurant, right? Table for infinity, really is what it is. So we have the tofu that's in the middle here, okay? We have our herbs that'll go right on top, just like that. And you have to have a very expensive soup scooper. This one's called a half. I don't know where it comes from. I'm sure it's very expensive. And you can just go ahead and pour this right around the circumference, okay? And make it real fancy. And it's really beautiful. It's very flavorful. Again, you can use whatever stock you want, whatever stock that would have enough protein in there. Of course, we use chicken, but whatever protein stock that you have that you really like. And this is it. Full of flavor, packed with nutrition, easy to digest, super fast. And I've always said, and I will continue to say, if you make this at home, you can make it twice as fast as I just made it. I don't stop talking. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but this is what I like to do. Okay, here we go. So that soup is done. We are on our way. That has the miso, it has the tofu, fresh herbs. That's lovely. So let's check on the chicken because things are happening. We're still dancing here. So let me go ahead and grab this chicken, see what's going on here. And I'm going to give it a spin. Question, Mary Eve. Did you say chicken breast because chicken breasts are better for a stomach cancer patient?
They can be easier to digest because the dark meat has more fat in it. That's why I was tickling the fancy with that question.
All right.
I need to get those tweezer things. I see them all the time.
I can send you a link, Mary.
Please do, Sarah. Thank you.
These are my older white guy eyebrow tweezers that we talked about here. So this is just the men's thing.
It's a men's.
It's
a grooming tool.
so few times do men actually get cool stuff like this. So anyway, so here we go. As you can see, this is the chicken. All I'm going to do is rotate it or give it a flip. Yeah, like this. There we go. You give it a little flip. and then we'll see what happens there. And then we'll keep cooking it until the chicken is cooked through and then the sweet potato is nice and soft. And that's kind of it, okay? Put these eyebrow tweezers away.
About 35 minutes total.
Total. Yeah, but you
Okay.
can go further. There's nothing harming. It's really one of these things. It depends upon you want, but you do want to make sure these are cooked through. Again, I like the internal temperature, 185 to 190. Okay, a lot more than a lot of people think. But if you want it to be soft and lovely, you do need to bring that temperature a little bit on the higher side. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side. And so far, we're kind of just about done with two things. We're at the smoothie hour, Mary Eve. What time is it? What time is it? It's the smoothie hour.
Smoothie
Okay.
time.
It's the smoothie hour time. So we're gonna go in with one of the things that I remember quite distinctly as a kid. I had a paper route and I used to bicycle through the swimming pool, and I would always stop at the same place, this tiny little corner market, and I would go inside, and for 10 cents, I could get an orange push-up. Does anybody remember an orange push-up? It's like a cylinder of cardboard, and it's like orange sherbet, and it's just freaking fascinating, and I loved it, and it was the best dime I've ever spent in my whole life. So we're gonna go ahead and make an orange push-up sherbet smoothie. Okay,
Love
you
it.
do these moves. All
I
right.
love that it was 10 cents.
It was 10. Well,
So, did you guys have the good humor guy drive around in
if
his
we
white
did,
suit,
if
his white
no,
hat?
no, if we did, it was it was like Eddie Murphy. We just couldn't afford it on our street.
Well, my mother, so we would hear the bells and she would give me a quarter
Okay.
and she goes, go buy 5 popsicles because they were 5 cents each
Oh,
and I'm one of 5. So
wow.
I would run down to Mr. Good Humor and he would give me a 5 popsicles and I would take them home. It's a really good memory. I had the same Good Humor guy like my whole life in my neighborhood.
We have a park near our house and we can hear when there's a guy who walks by with an ice cream cart and we hear a little bell jingling. Every once in a while we hear it and there's like a internal impulse to go run out and go
Right?
Pavlovian, you're just, what is that?
Yeah,
Uh,
sweet.
Jen says 80s kids here love the Good Humor truck.
Exactly.
And then Jen's also asking a question to the group watching, do you have an easier time eating chicken breasts or thighs?
Okay.
Whether in treatment or post-surgery, do let us know.
So this is our recipe, and we've talked about this already as far as orange juice. There is half a cup of orange juice in this, so that could be an issue. But we also have dairy, protein added dairy. Does that help protect the process of enjoying anything that's acidic? Also eating with dairy?
It might. What's the dairy you added, Chef?
Yogurt, whole
Okay, yeah.
yogurt. Okay.
I think that would be good. So it's like a creamsicle-y kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. We also have a little bit of ice. Of course, there's a frozen banana in there. I'm gonna blitz it, but before I blitz it, question. 4 years ago, you and I met, Mary Eve Brown. And you said that there's really two different types of fruits that we can use, yeah, per the guidelines. One of which is canned peaches. The other, of course, is banana. Are there any other types of fruits that we get to stretch and enjoy depending upon how they're processed? I'm going to blend the heck out of this. Like, for example, if I baked figs, is there any other fruit that I might be able to stretch and enjoy, whether it's baked or whether it's in a blender? Question.
And yeah, when you cook it, that helps the digestion. It's also going to depend on like where you are and not everybody's the same. We've talked about this as well. So I have, some people they can do a peeled fruit, fresh fruit and do fine. Other people like, nope, not so much. Cooking it definitely helps the digestion of something. And I finally got figs off my fig tree this year.
Yeah. And so I made fig jam and I froze a bunch of them. But anyways, it just depends on your gut. But traditionally bananas and melons are the easiest gut-friendly fresh fruit.
Melons.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So we
types.
got to do something melon in the summertime because I don't know if we've done that or not.
No, we haven't. That sounds great. Melon sounds fantastic.
Does that include all like a watermelon too, or is it more?
Watermelon, cantaloupe. Oh, and the other really interesting thing, and we'll talk about this when we get to summer, but watermelon actually has the same properties as an oral rehydration drink. It has the same amount of potassium and minerals in it.
Oh,
And so I have some people who are like, I don't like any of the tastes of any of the oral rehydration drinks, and they really need them. I'm
Yeah.
like, blitz some watermelon, strain it and drink it.
Right.
It's this, yeah,
Fantastic. But the thing
has
about
vitamin
watermelon,
C.
when you think of watermelon, also people always think of the red watermelon, which is
Mm.
pretty darn healthy, to be honest with you, as far as like the same properties of tomato. A red watermelon is like a spontaneous mutant. Talk about mutations. It used to be just, yellow and white from northern Africa, and they're about this big and they're really thick skinned, but then they just spontaneously turned red. You and I talk about colors in vegetables and fruits all the time. Cauliflower, strangely enough, is an albino mutant. It's the last cauliflower on the scene, but yet it's the one that we see most often. Isn't that crazy? I love
Was
it.
the original color purple?
Yeah, well, there's purple. As far as the cauliflower, there's purple, green,
Yellow,
uh,
yellow,
right, yellow,
yellow.
and then the white one. Carrots. The very first carrot was purple. Very first one. It grows in what's now Afghanistan, and then two of them mutated as far as two different colors, and then the Dutch made them orange. This happening here with our.
Well, Van Gogh was a ginger. You just got to go there.
Okay, so here we go. We made a lovely smoothie. I will be drinking that. I'm going to pound that sucker pretty fast. Really simple, easy ingredients, very easy to digest. And of course, throw a little extra protein powder in there. And that's a really lovely way to get extra protein in your diet. Okay. The last thing that we're going to make, keeping in mind that we still have yet to finish cooking the sweet potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the chicken that's in the oven, is breakfast. We're going to pull it back. We're going back in the Wayback Machine a couple of hours. Okay. We're here on the West Coast, so we're still going to enjoy it. So pancakes. Okay. We're going to talk about some pancakes, different reasons why pancakes either fail or succeed. It's different types of protein that's going to be in these pancakes. Make it really simple. Over here, I have melted butter. Okay. About 4 tablespoons of melted butter. That's going to keep it from sticking. It'll also sort of like enrich it, keeps it nice and soft. And over here for this pan, I'm just going to go ahead and put it over very low heat.
just going back to the chicken, Nancy says breasts are easier for me to chew, but I haven't cooked thighs at the higher temp.
Okay.
Mm.
The easy.
Yeah, I mean, normally, again, it just has to do with the connective tissue. You want to make sure that breaks down and gets in terms of gelatin. I mean, gelatin, even though it's cooked at a much higher temperature, you would think it'd be drier, but the gelatin is what liquefies it. It makes it like, just lip-smackingly good. And when you cut it, it just breaks apart quite easily. Okay, so yeah, give it a shot. Let's see what happens with that. So back to breakfast, yeah? So I'm gonna go ahead and move a few of these things.
Jeff.
What was that?
Jeff, breakfast doesn't have to be in the morning. And I have a lot of people who can digest a lot of breakfast foods. And I say, you can have breakfast for dinner. You can have breakfast for lunch.
God,
It doesn't have to be in the morning.
I knew 4 years ago when we met. Besties. Right there. Right there.
I'm going to call you Blue Topaz now for this year. Blue Topaz.
Okay, so we went ahead and mixed all the dry ingredients prior. This is just flour.
And Nancy's asking, are you using salted or unsalted butter?
This is, boy, good question. This butter, I think, is salted, but for most baked goods, I would do unsalted. You do need salt in this. There is salt in this, but it's such a small amount, it won't make that big of a difference. Salt usually plays an important role when it comes to the balance of different types of flavors. If you have salted or unsalted butter, don't go out and get the other one. Just go ahead and bang out this recipe as it stands. It will be just enjoyable, I assure you. Okay, we do have salt in here. We have sugar. We have all-purpose flour. We also have 2 leaveners. We have baking soda and baking powder. Baking soda, believe it or not, will help break down the tissue of vegetables. So if you're having trouble digesting vegetables, a little bit of baking soda in the liquid that you're cooking it with, like soups and such, will help break down the tissue of vegetables. But when it comes to baked goods, it helps brown them. They will brown faster. Okay, so it's not just for puffing it up, it's helping it brown. So I just like a little more color in there. So the baking soda, baking powder for leavening, so you get these really lovely tall pancakes. Mary Eve, our dachshund, is getting a little feisty, so I think he smells the chicken. So we'll see what happens there.
Wasn't the blender because he's a blender hog.
He is. I know. Well, He is a blender hog.
He's
Okay.
very picky and he hasn't eaten his breakfast yet.
He is.
Oh,
So even though
my girl, my girl's having a hard time going outside because the snow is taller than her.
it's too cold for the doggo.
He's hold on, we're gonna take a dog break. Just 1 second. Here we
Oh,
go.
please,
Dog break.
please. Oh,
All
hello,
right, he's like,
puppy.
where is the chicken? And moving on with the demo. Okay, here we go. So I do have two leaveners in there. Leavening, of course, chemical leavening, it helps it puff up. I have 2 egg yolks in here. Behind me are the 2 egg whites. A lot of you may have seen recipes where you have to whip the egg whites until you get a lot of foam and then you gently stir it in. Not so. We're going to go ahead and streamline this process. It's much, much easier, but we're also adding different types of dairy fat. Talk to me on dairy fat. We have full fat sour cream. We have buttermilk, which is usually low fat, of course. And then we have full fat ricotta
And a little whole milk too.
and a little whole milk as well.
Awesome.
Does that still fall under the category of awesome?
Awesome.
Okay.
I love this in so many ways. I'm so glad that you're adding these higher fat dairies because people need calories sometimes. But it's also ramping up the protein. Because in my head, I'm thinking, can you put 4 egg yolks in there? But then you just did it. You did it right there with the ricotta and the buttermilk. Chef, we have one brain.
I love it that you said ricotta. I say water.
What I said?
Ricotta. You said ricotta.
Oh, is that what you're using?
I'm using ricotta. There's buttermilk and milk in here already. So again, I'm just trying to streamline. Whole fat ricotta. I just said it. Sour cream, 2 egg yolks, and of course, this is the buttermilk and milk, whole fat milk.
And we learned from Mary Eve about the high protein milks, the
Yep.
high protein yogurt.
That's right.
It's really a game changer.
It really is. All right. So here we go. I have melted butter in here as well, right over here. The one thing that was really interesting growing up, talking about somebody had said growing up in the 80s, with the orange push-up, is that we all remember the days when fat was bad and sugar was fine. Everyone just overlooked the sugar. Angel food cake was the one thing that my mom would actually make for us that she deemed healthy, even though it was mostly just sugar and processed flour. So we were super happy. I mean, I grew up in a household that had grape nuts and shredded wheat. See this face? That was my youth. Just grape nuts and shredded wheat. So that's why I'm excited to.
My mom was a Southern cook, so bacon was in everything.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
think I told you this one time. We used to pop our popcorn in bacon grease.
Oh my gosh.
Was that delicious?
I've never tried that. Now I have to.
What kind of I just feel like I've had no youth.
We have more good ideas here.
I know I've been one of those kids that just didn't have a childhood.
These are 2 opposite childhoods right here.
That's absolutely true, right? But now, of course, we know that that fat is just good. One of the things I learned, my very first course in Nutrition 101 is like you need the fat to absorb and make bioavailable the fat-soluble vitamins. So if you don't have any fat while you're eating vegetables that have some fat-soluble vitamins, it's just not helpful to the whole process. At least that's what I tell myself when I do full fat of everything here, all right?
How many pancakes does this make?
Enough for a small party.
So could we freeze them?
I don't see why not.
So this is a great idea, right? Batch cooking. If I don't have much energy on certain days, maybe I
Mhm.
make a bunch of these. I put them in a container and throw them in the freezer, and then I can just pop them out and pop them in a toaster oven or a toaster or a microwave. I love this idea. So rock star you.
Well,
Let's make 16 pancakes, which is a good amount.
Lego of Mary Eve's Eggo. Anybody? 80s? Nobody? Nobody? Okay, great. Okay, so the last thing I have here, dry, wet. Yeah? Wet always goes into dry. Okay? So that's just a really good thing to think. It's like wet goes into dry. I have the 2 egg whites that I'm just gonna sort of like whisk up with the tiniest whisk that you can find until it's essentially the same texture. You know how you have the albumin, which is the albumin that's right there with the thick white and the thin white that keeps the yolk in the center of the egg. I don't want to see that anymore. I want all the white to be essentially the same. I don't want any thick clumps or anything like that. When you're whisking something, you want to whisk back and forth. You don't want to whisk round and round like that. So back and forth to cause these collisions. I'm not looking for a lot of like foam and craziness. If you get it, that's fine. That's better. Okay, so it all is about the same. So here we go.
So you don't need any fancy mixers for this.
You do not need fancy what you do need is you need something that's even fancier. You need one of these bad Larrys. Okay. If you have, this is just a side note, if you have wooden handles, make sure you take them off and make sure you wash them. We have a lot of people, we go to their homes and it's just jet black because they never take them off and they're kind of moldy. So just get yourself
So-
give,
Oh, God.
Very, not really that.
I know it's a little unsettling. I agree. So the thing about a really good pancake, everyone, is that you want lumps to be in there. So I'm switching to a spatula, is the way I learned it. A spatula, right? And we're gonna go ahead and fold this together. If you use a whisk, you're just banging it out and you're making it a little bit too smooth. It's okay to stir it, even semi-aggressively. But this, as opposed to a whisk, a spatula is only one plane, if you will, whereas a whisk has multiple ways of, developing the gluten and also breaking apart all those lovely lumps that we actually do need in this process. Okay.
Nancy asks, what's the reason for putting the whites in last rather than putting an entire egg in earlier?
That's a damn good question.
Why do you separate
This is just the way that I learned it and developed this recipe. I don't even know.
well, it's in the.
I think it would be for the lift,
But
the lift of it.
But the thing is, it's not because
Oh,
normally this is back in the day when I did my cookbook, is I would whisk these egg whites until it was really foamy, and then you would gently fold it in.
right.
This, we're sort of like cutting across that, but you know what? Maybe you've just saved me a step. Maybe you've saved me a bowl from having to do that.
No, I think it does add some lift because in our
You're
research,
incorporating air.
yeah, there were some other chefs who did a similar method where you don't have to have a stand mixer, but you still do get a little benefit from the.
But when I whisked it, just, again, I love this process. I love this whole, again, this is 4 years. This is a big year 4. So expect those flowers sometime soon with maybe a pineapple, Mary Eve, with some fruit for our 4-year. But I do love the dialogue that happens with everyone. Everyone's eating food and everyone's getting together, being healthy. And I'm learning as I go along. I'm a classically trained Emmy-nominated chef, and yet every day I hope to learn something new. So thank you for even throwing that out there. And I also thank Mary Eve for giving me permission to eat pancakes and breakfast any time of the day or night. I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful.
While I'm watching you, I'm thinking this could be a base that you could add a bunch of other stuff too,
Talk to me.
right? So banana, pecans,
Okay.
dark chocolate chips. I mean, you could really use this wonderful
Okay.
curated pancake
Love it.
to make a bunch of orange zest. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Orange zest works. Vanilla extract would work. All these types of things would work really well. So what I'm doing is I'm using, this is not a nonstick pan. Yeah. So we threw away all of our Teflon pans, all of our forever chemicals. We got rid of all those. This is over low heat. The way to do it is when you go to a diner, they have clarified butter and they use a fair amount of it. So the whole bottom of their pancake is a uniform brown color. We're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is add a little bit of butter, right? A little bit of butter. Did you see what I just did? I feel ashamed. And then what we can do is take a dry paper towel and then we're going to clean it out. Any excess, like this. That's it. Okay, we don't need an extra butter in there. We have plenty of fat. We don't need it in there. And then what I'll do is do a 1/4 cup of each one. Okay. Here we go, Mary Eve.
And these aren't overly, hey, chef, they're not overly sweet, right?
No, not at all. There's only 2 tablespoons of sugar in here. You can go less.
Oh my gosh. So we could take this savory. We could throw cheese and scallions in it. I mean,
100%.
oh Lordy.
Why do we live so far away? What did we do wrong that we're this far apart?
Well, you left me a long time ago because I'm in Maryland and you were in Virginia. But
Okay, you know what? You make a very good point.
You need to re-debut these maybe later this year with a savory version of these pancakes.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh my God, I love it.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
I love the idea of adding the cheese and some herbs and
Now, no one enjoys not being able to see a finished product. I know that the chicken thighs are not quite up to temperature. I'm not going to serve them just yet, but I do have some that we did earlier this morning. They're still nice and hot.
oh, you need your rice.
Yeah, it's just not gonna do it. There's nothing worse than serving something that's not quite done, all right? So it's completely up to you how much you want to serve.
Don't
Mary,
forget your rice.
I know that the rice on the side, that's true. I know that you don't recommend doing larger portions of anything. Just better to have a smaller portion and go back for more if you want to. We did do white rice in this, and I used chicken stock, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the side. What do you think about that, Mary, as far as rice?
Yeah, I love it. And if you're really having a hard time cooking the rice in the bone broth, that way you'll get more protein. The other thing, Chef, you always do so well is you make a pretty plate. And so if I don't have a great appetite, at least it looks pretty. I might be like, that's pretty. I'm going to eat some of that. And so colorful, you always make colorful, you always have, I want to know where Sarah and you guys get your dishes because they're always beautiful.
A lot
And-
of these are vintage.
Yeah, we actually-
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking is that color really does go, oh, eyes, appetite.
It does make a difference, right?
How's that look?
Huge.
You see that?
Pretty.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's not
Beautiful.
bad, right? So let's go ahead and flip a couple pancakes, see where they are.
Put a close up on that dish.
Beautiful. Also, put smoothies in pretty glasses, like
Right.
fancy glasses. Yep.
For sure. And
Beautiful.
if it weren't not for nothing, depending upon what you're looking for, here are the pancakes. And I will still flip them when they're ready, and I will still eat them when they're ready. But these are, again, if we're just dragging these pancakes by 30 seconds and we're just dragging these, the sweet potato with the chicken by about 5 or 10 minutes, again, if you make this at home, which I hope you will have the recipe available to you. So I'm hoping you're not sitting there at home writing these things down. You can make these faster than I've made them today. You can, of course, add a lot of the changes that Mary Eve has suggested. I give a check mark and a smiley face and a big red heart and a star to everything she just said.
Well, those pancakes, because you were making this just in, the swap of these.
That's right.
And I ate it. I didn't add any butter. I didn't add any syrup. I just ate it plain. It was so good.
It's very good. But also look how, I made these earlier and they're really lofty. They're very light. The one thing to keep in mind, of course, is it's a wonderful substrate or a medium in which to go sweet or savory because there's not a lot of sugar in them to start with, which I think Mary Eve is absolutely genius with. But they're nice and fluffy. They're really lovely. And I'm sure they freeze pretty well, and you can pop them out and pop them in the toaster oven anytime you want one. Okay.
Did you just simply remove the sugar from them, or would that affect the?
The interesting thing about sugar when it comes to baking is sugar is a liquid. So at high heats, it will liquefy, and it will also go into a liquid. So going back to cookies and cakes when I was a youth, my mom would cut out most of the sugar, and then every baked good would end up being really dry because sugar is a liquid. But if you go on the savory track, like Mary Eve recommends, you don't have to have any sugar clearly, because then you're going in a different direction. And I think it'd be really, really lovely. Some cheese, some hot sauce. You could really make this your own and then run with it. Okay.
Loretta asked, will the recipes be on DDF? Everything looks so good, even the soup. Thank you so much. Loretta or Jen, can you put a link for Loretta if you subscribe for these cooking demos, you'll get a whole booklet with all the recipes, past and present and future. So they are available. You just need to register, do the registration through DDF. But Jen, if you can pop a link for Loretta or a message, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. How are we looking on time?
We're right there.
God,
Right there.
I have to tell you, I don't know how we do it, but we do it. We don't even practice. This is all clearly it's by the cuff of our pants. But we did it. We would not be able to do this, of course, Mary Eve Brown. You're just the fact that you just offer so much of your time and expertise, you just cannot appreciate so much. Sarah, without you sort of like, managing this whole entire thing.
Jen running the Facebook on the other side.
Jen's crushing it on I mean, again, we're all here in California except for Mary A. Brown.
Mm.
But Debbie Stream Foundation, thank you for allowing for us to be a part of this whole thing and developing these recipes. Any more questions you have, just shoot them our way. And
Oh, and now DDF sends the recipe links. They don't do the booklets any longer, so even easier. That's great.
it'll be in your inbox in seconds. It's true. All right. So we have, 4 different things. Clearly, you don't have to make them all at once. Pretty simple, I hope. Streamline them as you see fit. And stay warm out there, everybody, except for the people in California or Seattle, Washington. But really stay warm because it gets a little dangerous out there. I kid, but really do be careful and eat well and take care of yourself and someone else if you can. Okay. Huge thanks to everyone here today that gave us your time, and a massive thanks to our sponsor that actually makes this possible. So I'm going to exit stage left so you can enjoy that sponsor. Thank you so much for your time. We will see you very, very soon. Happy eating.
Hey.